Hi, my name's Alan. I'm with
Oh,
Fandomwire. How are you guys doing today?
Great. Thanks,
good. How are
buddy.
you?
Oh, doing great. Thank you so much. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. So first of all, Gino, a lot of this screenplay and your movie seems to be inspired by flicks like Men in Black or TV shows like The X-Files. How do you go about creating a lore that is unique from those other big properties?
Wow. I think just because throughout from personal experience with people that I've like interviewed before and spoken to like former military guys, former like Marines, and taking their experience and then incorporating that into like the whole like UFO abduction lore and just seeing exactly like what someone's personal experience would be if they lost someone that they love to like an abduction and going down that rabbit hole. A lot, I would say a lot of my stuff was even inspired by Predator as well too, growing up.
Yeah,
And I had 3 days I spent with John McTiernan talking about movies, and that was a great experience for me when I was younger. And you know a lot from the older directors that have done great movies. Yeah.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Now, you have a lot of like big personal, or sorry, you have a lot of personal scenes throughout the movie, but also some giant spectacle, like in that desert car chase. Were there other inspirations other than like Predator or some of the action movies we had just mentioned that led you to want to have a big scene like that?
Yeah, like stuff like, I would say things like, Heat with Michael Mann. The big action scenes, like bigger movies like that, because I'm a big fan of his. Like there's just watching like Star Wars, of course. I'm a big Star Wars nerd. Growing up as a child, I always watched Star Wars. So like, the chase has always been like a part of what I wanted to do. And to get people in like, rovers, like space rovers and being chased, I think that was like a great, like, topping off of the movie, right? So
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, what roles of Eric's stood out to you when you were thinking about selecting him for the role of Tom?
say that again, brother.
Like what roles that you had seen Eric in were you most excited about when you selected him for the role of Tom?
Wow, I watched a lot of Eric's movies. Going way back, like when I was younger, to like Runaway Train and you know to Dark Knight. I really one of the ones I really based it off of was really like Dark Knight. It was like the villain. And Eric was amazing, as you know. He really made that movie with Heat and the rest of the actors, and that was like one of the roles I think that inspired me to be like, yeah, Eric could do this one. He would
That
love
makes
this.
sense. So Eric, Tom has a lot of swagger. There's a lot of also nuance in how he's approaching these other younger kids who he feels kind of are inexperienced in the situation. What were some of the roles that you wanted to bring in to help you inform your performance in this movie?
Well, Tom is the kind of man who is probably, if not the head of his class, he was in the top 1% of his class. He's very bright.
Mhm.
He is a government employee. So all depending on his political, persuasion, he is very left or he's very right. I
Yeah.
look at him as being very left, but I can see where you'd want to play him right. But I look at him as being very progressive because he knows there are aliens
Mhm.
and like I do too. And there are. How can there not be? How can we be so pompous to think we're the only living, breathing thing in the universe? That's kind of impossible. So that being said and understood, that's why I made this movie because it needs to be talked about. It needs to be talked about in a way that's not boo, that's
Mhm.
understandable and acceptable and definable. And we've yet to do that. And the closest we've come, I think, before Lumina is, of course, that great. Uh, what's um, what's the Steven Spielberg?
Close Encounters.
E.T. E.T.
Oh,
E.T. is as close as we get to honestly accepting. Yes, they are here. They are among us.
mhm.
Uh, but that we take as a fantasy movie, even though I believe it's not a real fantasy movie. I believe it's real possibility, and hence that's why I made this movie because I'm a believer, dude. Totally.
All right. I was going to ask that towards the end. So Gino and Eric, you guys are both definitely believers in aliens and alien
Of
abductions.
course. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
I've had my own personal experiences, and speaking to people that have been abducted and have experienced this type of phenomena, definitely.
All right. And now, Eric, you played a character actor role in a lot of bigger movies. Like we had previously mentioned, The Dark Knight. You're also in like The Expendables or Inherent Vice. Now, why do you like jumping into indie films and lending your character actor credibility to films like Lumina?
Well, as an actor, it's all the same. It's all the same process to me. It can be an indie film or it can be Dark Knight and the biggest budget I've ever been in. It can be one or the other. And it's all the same process for me. It's all the same homework. It's all the same, getting up early to go to work. It's all the same process. So I don't judge films by their budgets. I judge films by the directors and by their writers. And if they have a good guy in both both departments, I'm home free.
Yeah. One of the other things that I thought was really fun was that you got to do some action stunts, or it appears you get to do some action stunts. What was the filming process like for those scenes?
Well, I don't. Did I do any stunts in this movie? I think my stunt days were over before.
Eric did minimal, I think, in the movie, but he did some though. He did some. He did some. But the majority was a stunt double though.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was very proud of myself that I was a member of the Stuntmen's Association for like 40 years, but have
Mhm.
not been a member for the past 10.
Okay.
And they say, "Can you do that?" I say once, that that's kind of I don't do anything dangerous anymore. Not at all.
Well, that's probably smart. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. I can see my time is expiring, but I guess my last question is, what do you hope most people take away when they see your film Lumina?
I would say that it's real. It could happen to you. Um, it could happen to anyone, and definitely like think about it psychologically. If you lost the one you love, how far would you go to get them back if they were abducted by aliens? So it really is thought provoking questions it asks, and people will start thinking about it, and that's the whole point, to make people think.
What he said.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. Have a great
Thank you
rest of
so
your
much.
day.
Yeah, great to see you, man. Thank you so much. Take care, guy.